भगवते वासुदेवाय आजानुलंबित भुजौ कनकावदातौ संकीर्तनैकपितरौ कमलायताक्षौ विश्वम्भरौ द्विजवरौ युगधर्मपालौ वन्दे जगत्प्रियकरौ करुणावतारौ। श्री निताई गौर सुंदर की जय। So welcome everyone to this transcendental program of studying Bhagavad Dharma. Currently we are studying Sri Das Thakur's Prema Bhakti Chandrika. By its very name, it highlights or enlightens or makes it very clear the path of pure devotional service. So if the path is made very clear without any obstacles or without any mishaps, then the journey becomes smooth, becomes progressive, and one becomes very convinced about reaching the destination very safely and surely. So in the first two slokas, what was discussed was the invocation. Namaskaratmak, paying obeisance to the spiritual master in the first one, and Vastu Nirdesh, the ultimate goal of life, attaining the lotus feet, attaining the divine service of the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani, and through her, the service of the divine couple in the Nikunja Mandir, as a kinkari, as a maid servant of Srimati Radharani. That is the Vishaya Vastu, that is the goal, Prayojana. And then to fulfill that Prayojan, what is essentially needed is the blessing, isn't it? So our whole sadhana, the sadhan bhakti, is meant to attract the ultimate blessing or the mercy of everybody involved. Here, because this Raganuga Bhakti is conducted under the leadership of Sri Chaitanya of Sri Rupa Goswami Prabhupada. Because Rupa Goswami Prabhupada is given the prime responsibility of establishing the manobhishta, the heart's innermost desire, what was in the mind, what was in the heart of Bhagavan Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to bestow upon the humanity. So definitely if one comes under the subservience of Sri Rupa Goswami, or comes in the lineage starting from Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, then definitely gets the necessary blessings, because the Rupa Goswami is the avenue through which this flow of mercy or the blessing comes. So if we are our Guru Parampara, our this sadhana of Anugatya Dharma, if it is in the lineage of Rupa Goswami, so that's why the blessings of Rupa Goswami is also was implored upon, that everyone may be blessed with this relation, this auspicious invocation. So naturally, that was the wonderful beginning of this great literature called Prema Bhakti Chandrika. And now today, in the third sloka, we will, and the subsequent slokas, the importance of Guru Padashraya, the importance of taking shelter, absolute, complete, unconditional shelter of the lotus feet of the spiritual master. So it is like indispensable thing, without which one does not, actual bhakti does not even begin. It is that important, that essential. So that's why so Guru Tattva, if this principle is well understood sufficiently, then the very understanding will definitely move us or propel us or encourage us or to really make the necessary transformation in our system through in our thinking, in our speaking, in also our actions. Because it is that critical, you know. The success or the lack of it both depend on perfecting our understanding. Understanding also includes, if you understand something, that means we also put that understanding in the action. Understanding is not merely theoretical. And that's why the guaranteed way, the guaranteed way to fall in love, no, of the divine couple or Srimati Radharani, correct? Ultimately, because without developing, without realizing the feeling of intense longing for them, nothing, everything will fall short of the ultimate mark which you want to reach. So the guaranteed way to be able to experience what it is like, what it would be like to fall in love with the divine couple or Srimati Radharani, correct? Because in Radha Dashyam, the aspiration of a sadhaka is to feel that affinity for Srimati Radharani as a maid servant of her. So, what it would be like if one wants to experience, then actually, you know, to have fallen in love, what it would be like, what would be like in feeling, because so actually it is actually to fall in love with a spiritual master. So this is very profound statement, correct? We will come through, we'll follow the sequence of this, Guru Vandana, which will begin today, with this understanding in the background that what subject matter and to what level, to what depth we are going to appreciate our connection, our bond, and our surrender to the spiritual master. So if one wants to experience what it would be like to have fallen in love with the divine couple, Srimati Radharani, is to have fallen in love, actually to fall in love with the spiritual master. And it is most feasible. And it's most feasible and definitely possible. That is the thing. Because he or she, the spiritual master, could be, apparently in the male body, female body, it doesn't matter. But falling in love with the spiritual master is quite feasible and possible, because he or she is available to us directly. Pratyakshan Sakshat, you know. like our senses, when they perceive something directly, seeing somebody live, even in the movie or in some exhibition somewhere, and if the person is available, then naturally one can go and come in touch with the person. And the perception through perception of the eyes, by seeing or hearing somebody, hearing somebody's voice, like five senses, something which the perception takes place through the five senses: smell, touch, and taste, anything or any person. So here we are talking about the person, the Sri Guru. It is feasible and possible because we can come in touch with him directly. Therefore, Sri Guru is called the manifest or direct form of God. In our case, in Manjari Bhav Upasana, our God is Srimati Radharani. So, so Sri Guru is called the manifest or direct form of Godhead. Being his means Krishna, and if we are focusing directly on Radharani, then her sample. And that way, Sri Guru is non-different or not separated from him, being his or her representative. Representative is no less, correct? Because ultimately, who becomes available to us has a greater importance in our life. The divine couple in Nikunja Mandir, they are in their own Lila in Swayambhuva. Our position in this material world, we are not worthy to associate and serve their lotus feet in present condition. So it's a special arrangement when the Lord agrees to meet a sadhaka. Then and that is also by his causeless mercy. So the most magnanimous mercy of the Supreme becomes condensed. It when it becomes condensed, it gets a form. So that form, or the condensed mercy, it comes in the form of the spiritual master. So that's why it is not different, and that's why in honor and in love, in priyata, in loving sentiment, and also in pujyata, in honor, he is equal to the Supreme Lord himself. Although in identity, as we will discuss further, because the Lord is described as asamodhvam, nobody is equal to him, nobody is greater than him. So how can the spiritual master, although he's a special manifestation of the Supreme Lord, but it is equal in two aspects, not in everything. As far as whatever we imagine as to how much we will love if we meet Krishna, if we meet Radharani, how much we will love, how much we will try to endear ourselves to her, how much we will worship her, how much we will love her. So that imagination can be fulfilled through our bond with the spiritual master, because he's not seen as any different, rather he is there to cause that fulfillment of our imagination. So that thing we have discussed many times, but in today's rendering, certain things will be made very, very clear. So now one thing, that even though what we are aspiring after, even though it has not happened since eternity, this question was raised. Something which has not happened since eternity. What are the chances that in this present lifetime of whatever years we have, but this human life is given again and again in order to make that happen. For whatever reason, we fell short of attaining that love. So still, the hope is there. We all have the opportunity to become that fortunate in this very present life. So with this hope alone will carry us forward. Otherwise, the doubt is unlimited. Something which could not be accomplished. Sri Guru Charane Rati could not be accomplished. Since eternity, the odds are very meager. But Mahaprabhu's connection gives us all the hope. Although, considering from other points of view, our time, place and circumstances, Kali Yuga and whatnot. But Mahaprabhu's desire, Mahaprabhu's special consideration to bestow the highest gift to us, we should not be doubtful. When a person is bankrupt, he has no doubt, if from any source, even the most unthinkable thing, if he's offered, oh, you do just little, just hands up and surrender, because the bankrupt person has very little to surrender. So he has no doubt. He doesn't hesitate to surrender everything. So hands up means full surrender. Full surrender was impossible for other ages because everybody was thinking, oh, I'm not bankrupt. So the feeling of bankruptcy is very useful for a sadhaka on this path in order to make him fully surrender. Now the question again comes, is it not rare to have fallen in love with a spiritual master? This question the sadhaka will go through as one develops the depth or understands the depth of Guru Tattva. Very rare, of course, very rare, no doubt. Indeed, but it's still not as rare as falling in love with the divine couple. It is not as rare, it's more feasible. Rare nonetheless, but it is not as rare as falling in love with the divine couple because they are not directly manifest or available to us. In order for us to fall in love with them, because the love or priti, it happens only with someone who is directly perceivable by our senses. Not only perceivable, but also available. If someone may be perceived in distance, but if he is not available to us, we cannot reciprocate with him. Then it's difficult to fall in love. Correct? If we read the story or watch a movie of someone who lived in the past, who is no more available, because what we are discussing is the divine priti. Divine priti is an eternal bond with the eternal person. So that experience is not found in the material world, except through the agency of the spiritual master, who is perceived as an eternal associate of Krishna. That point must be imbibed in order to make it very clear in our consciousness along this journey of on this path of pure devotional service, that our bond is with the eternal being. Nothing is of temporary. Any attachment is not to something which is beginning and an end. If it has a beginning, it has no end. So that's why, because if the falling in love with Krishna was possible, it would have happened long time ago. Because but Krishna does not come directly in our touch. If it was possible, we could have long ago, long ago, already fallen in love with the divine couple and attain the supreme, and we wouldn't be here, stuck here. And but directly coming in touch with Krishna, that is almost impossible. Almost impossible. Yeah, if Krishna, somebody becomes suddenly made after Krishna and just gives up everything and But we don't see that, that would be very exceptional. That was the point established in Srimad Bhagavatam, 6th canto, 1st chapter, where Shukdev Goswami is saying, Kechit kevalaya bhaktya vasudeva parayana agham dhunvanti kashnena niharami bhaskara. Trying to directly approach the Supreme, leaving everything behind. But a conditioned soul cannot do this, correct? So even if this is the Siddhanta, why it is for a very kechit, for some rare person. If something is only meant for a very rare person, then the common masses, all of us, we are out of it. We have no benefit from that process. So Parikshit Maharaj also is not very impressed by this principle that yes, some rare person, if he exclusively takes shelter of Vasudeva Krishna, then all his sins are removed and he attains the Supreme. So he's not impressed. So the process should be which is acceptable, which is applicable for the conditioned soul like us. In that process, then Shukdev Goswami establishes Nat न तथा ही अघवान राजन पूयित तपादि भी यथा कृष्णार्पित प्राणस्तत् पुरुष निश्चय. In Srimad Bhagavatam, 6th canto, 1st chapter, text number, I think, 15, 16, and 17. These three shlokas are very critical, especially this, the last one. न तथा ही अघवान राजन पूयित तथा तपादि भी यथा कृष्णार्पित प्राणस तत्पुरुष निषेवया. If one fully take shelter of such a person who has given his life fully in the service of Krishna, it is more feasible rather than on one's own go full force to Krishna, leaving behind all this entanglement in this material world. Even while one is entangled in the modes of material nature, it is quite possible through the influence of satsang, good association. If a person comes to realize how precarious situation one is in and what is the way out, so connecting to a person who is fully surrendered to Krishna and following his guidance for one's ultimate good, if this good scruple, this good discretion, vivek, becomes ignited in his consciousness, then no matter, he can come out of his most precarious situation only. Rather, only when one can feel how that one is in a very precarious, horrible situation, then one becomes very inclined to take shelter, which will free him completely from his bondage in the onslaught attack of the three modes of material nature. So that was the Bhagavad Dharma. So again, taking shelter of a pure devotee who is fully surrendered to this to Krishna again comes in the picture. So that's why, so this Priti, what we are discussing, love of God, this the importance or the indispensable involvement or indispensability of taking shelter of pure devotee is going to be discussed. So Bhagavad Priti, love of God, or the love for the spiritual master, both are divine in nature. Divine means they are eternal bond. In their identity, in their swarup, they are divine, but in their disposition, in appearance, both are like look worldly, because we are conditioned in our worldly vision. So when Krishna also appears on earth, and demonstrates his loving pastime. So his activities, his proclivities, his dealings, they appear like but because they are in relation to Krishna, the eternal being, and relation also with his eternal associates. So in the same way, when we come in the eternal bond of the spiritual master, in the dealings, they may appear lokic or material, like mundane, but in their identity, in their swarupa, they are divine. So because in this material world, every relationship or every love relationship, apparently love relationship, because everything is temporary, so we become stuck, we become engrossed and attached. Engrossed means attached to the temporary things or temporary relationship, and that becomes the cause of our further entanglement. We never find fulfillment in this temporary relationships. But that same loving sentiment or preeti or love, when applied to Krishna or the spiritual master, especially because Srimad Bhagavatam describes it, when it is applied to the spiritual master or a pure devotee, it opens the door for attaining the supreme oral. It makes it possible to fall in love with the supreme in his supreme abode. So that's why this attachment to the pure devotee, or here directly in the context of this today's shloka or Guru Vandana, the developing that loving or deep attachment sentiments for the spiritual master, as if in the eternal bond. The bond with the spiritual master is eternal because he is the eternal associate of Radharani. He is the eternal associate of Krishna. So in that spirit, a sadhak is expected to perceive the divinity or divine nature or the most blessedness of the spiritual master, so that it does not fall in the mundane category. And so that preeti, that deep attachment or affinity for the spiritual master becomes the guarantee, becomes the certainty of attaining the affinity towards the divine couple. And the process itself is yat sevaya bhagavatas kutas tasya madhu dvishah rati raso bhavet tat padayor vyasanardana. So taking means a shelter through the loving attitude of the spiritual master makes it possible. Dedication, unconditional dedication to the service and direction of the spiritual master, it is supposed to lead to devotion or the deep attachment for the spiritual master with the perception of attaining the perception of his most blessedness. Because you can love whosoever one falls in love, he is perceived as the most lovely, correct? Most lovable. So most lovable, most is the divine Krishna, God, na? Srimati Radharani, who can excel God. So that's why the spiritual master is that meeting point where the God, Krishna, Srimati Radharani and the devotee meet. So this point is very, very subtle, very esoteric. We will try to address this and make understand something very magical experience to have developed that kind of affinity for the spiritual master. It could not be anything but divine. So that's the thing. So now the final point, the spiritual master in identity, we should not have any misgiving with regard to the Siddhanta, understanding of the principle of the spiritual master. Spiritual master in principle, in Swarup, in his identity, is a Raganuga Bhakta, correct? Later we will also discuss the basic points of what is Raganuga Bhakti and Ragatmika Bhakti. Basically, Ragatmika Bhakti is in the hearts of the eternal associates of Krishna who have spontaneous raga or loving sentiment for Krishna. So when we hear Krishna Katha and discuss the pastimes and exchange between Krishna and his Brajavasis, especially, then one may find it very fascinating. And if one wants to follow the similar attitude, so which is following of that nature, the conditioned soul in our state, we don't have that spontaneous raga in our heart, but we like that kind of dealing of the associates of the Lord in different mellows, especially the conjugal mellow of the gopis and the sakhis and the manjaris and Radharani dealing with Krishna. So, so when we feel attracted and drawn towards that kind of dealing of the eternal associates of Krishna, and following in their footsteps, in order to develop similar sentiments for the divine couple, that is called Raganuga Bhakti. So Raganuga Bhakti basically means following the style or finding our subservience, anuga, of the mood of the eternal associates of the Lord. That is Raganuga Bhakti. So now in our case, we are following the path, following in the footsteps of the Brajavasis. Now the point comes where we find and go take the subservience of the Brajavasis in order to follow Raganuga Bhakti. That's where the status and the position of the spiritual master comes in picture. So although in identity he is Raganuga Bhakta, because we are following the path of Raganuga Bhakti, we have not yet as yet become the eternal associates of Krishna, but we want to follow in subservience to them. So the spiritual master is perceived in that position, although he is in identity, he is Raganuga Bhakta, but for the disciple, he is perceived as Ragatmika Bhakta. He is perceived as the eternal associate of, and in this Manjari Bhav Upasana, he's perceived as a choicest kinkari, a choicest beautiful kinkari, antarang, confidential kinkari, Manjari of Srimati Radharani. That perception of the spiritual master by the disciple gives him the perfection, because now he is not baffled, he is not going to be distracted by other external visions, and because in the material world, our vision and the senses, as they perceive, they may become disturbed by what I'm seeing. Most people have seeing is believing. So our vision could be faulty, but if our affinity for the spiritual master has of deep attachment has come, just like when somebody becomes deeply attached to someone, one can see no faults in that person. Even to it, others may find many faults in that person, but one who has developed the deep attachment for the person, everything appears divine, everything appears so sublime. So that is the same thing. So the spiritual master is perceived as a Ragatmika Bhakta, as eternal associate of Krishna. Just like spiritual master by Swarupa, he's a sevaka, he's a servant of the divine couple. Correct? But at the same time, for the disciple, the spiritual master is also Savior, he's the Ishta. He's age worshipable is the divine couple. You know, even more worshipable is allowed because he's direct. You know, because he is the one who gives us the experience what it would be like to be with the divine couple, to be in the service, to fall in love with the divine couple, to fall in love with Srimati Radharani. Without that experience, our fervor won't be fed to reach that point of ultimate hankering for the divine couple. So that's why so the subject of spiritual master is most critical, and we will along that we will come across many wonderful points of this Raganuga Bhakti, you know, and so the Guru Vandana starts today. Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Sadma. I think because this is prayer, we can have the participation. We can recite. I recite one line, then you also recite one line. Only 2 lines, so it will be nice. Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Sadma. Everybody.
Shri
Shri
Guru
Charana
Charana
Padma
Kevala Bhakti
Bhakti
Sadma
Sadma
Bando Mui Savadhana Mate.
Bando
Bando
Muni
Muni
Savadana
Savadana
Mate
Bando Mui Savadhana Mate. Bando
Bando
Bando Muni
Savadana
Savadana
Jahar Prasade Bhai এই ভাবতারিয়া যায়
Yar
Yar
Prasade
Prasade
Bhai
He
Bhavaturiya
Bhakti
Jai
কৃষ্ণ প্রাপ্তি হয় যাহাইতে কৃষ্ণ
Krishna Prapti Hai
প্রাপ্তি হয় যাহাইতে কৃষ্ণ
Krishna Prapti Hai
the spiritual master who is the root cause of all accomplishments of our sadhana, our endeavor, you know, our endeavor, its fulfillment, its perfection. The spiritual master, his satisfaction is the root cause of all accomplishments. So that's why we cannot glorify the position or the status or the importance or the indispensability of the spiritual master in our life enough. No glorification would suffice. We cannot reach the end of the glory of the spiritual master as far as our spiritual accomplishment of perfection is concerned. We will always be in need of it, no matter what perfection or what level of accomplishment of perfection we have achieved. We will always be in need of his mercy and blessings, you know. So So what was mentioned in the first shloka, glorifying and establishing the utmost importance of the spiritual master, again the praise is continuing. Sri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Sadma. Of course, as we follow the path of spirituality, especially in Vedic literature, in Vedic culture, in all scriptures, devotion to the Supreme Personality of Godhead is said to be the ultimate goal and main purpose of human life. Ultimately, like in the prayer itself, you will find that Sri Guru Charanagati, I say Uttamagati. So Uttamagati means attaining the service of the divine, the lotus feet of divine couple in Nikunja Mandir as a maid servant of Srimati Radharani. So the same thing, that ultimate goal is that of the human life, the attaining the perfection of our human potential, means attaining that service in the divine of the divine couple in our eternal spiritual form as a maid servant to Srimati Radharani. But although that is goal, but the means to attain that ultimate goal of the devotional, our devotional endeavor, devotional practice, that accomplishment is not possible without the unconditional surrender of the bona fide spiritual master. That's why the spiritual master, Sri Guru, here means Sadguru. Sadguru means eternal Guru, eternal bond. It is not like a common word now. The word Guru has become common. In every field there is a Guru who gets the fee and gives some mantra or some advice. No. Only giving the spiritual master, his importance is so much that what he has given us, the fortune he has exposed to us, we cannot give him enough. But still, minimum is full surrender. Full surrender is the minimum standard, because even that is minimum. So we cannot just hold back something. Okay, 95% for the spiritual master, and at least 5% I can have for myself. We become his, like falling in love with someone. Everything we ourselves becomes his or hers. So that is a wonderful thing. So taking unconditional shelter at the lotus feet of the bona fide spiritual master is indispensable. So Rupa Goswami describes in Bhakti Samat Sindhu, mainly 64 limbs of pure devotional service for the practicing devotees. And out of those 64 limbs, in the beginning, he describes the initial, or the door to, or the first door, to enter this path of pure devotional service. And that includes, so one of the important, very first, the very first principle, the gateway into the temple of devotion. The very first principle is Guru Padashraya. Guru Padashraya Tasmad Krishna Dikshadi Sikshanam Vishrambhena Guru Seva. These three. And then fourth we will also add in today's discussion. So the very first three out of the 64 principles, the very first three are these. What is the first one? Guru Padashraya Tasmad. Guru Padashraya, taking shelter of the spiritual master. And second thing is After taking shelter of the spiritual master, then Tasmad Krishna Dikshadi Shikshanam, then getting initiated by him on this path of pure devotional service and become educated with all the sikshas, all the aspects of this pure devotional service. And third is a Vishrambhena Guru Seva, with full confidence, without any duplicity, without any ulterior motive. Because in order to win the full confidence of a spiritual master, one has to become duplicity free, correct? Otherwise, if a person does not become duplicity free, then full confidence would be missing, isn't so? So these three aspects: first is taking shelter of the spiritual master; second, getting initiated from him and getting all the education about the different aspects of pure devotional service, and then with complete confidence, Vishrambhena, serving the lotus feet of the spiritual master unconditionally. The fourth limb we want to add because it will have significance throughout this journey. The fourth is Sajatiya Shayesh Snigdhe Sadhu Sangha Svatovare. So Sadhu Sang, of course, primary Sadhu Sang or association of devotee is the spiritual master himself. Sajatiya Ashaye Snigdhe. And when we experience, naturally, Snigdhe means the spiritual master being very, very merciful. He is so lovingly disposed towards whatever little endeavor, positive or favorable attitude we demonstrate. The spiritual master shows such a loving appreciation for it, so that we become encouraged, we remain encouraged. Sajatiya Shay Snigdhe Sadhu Sangha Svatobare. Considering the spiritual master is so much more advanced than oneself. That way, without having any doubt, without any second thought, we can accept the message, imbibe the message without any lingering of doubt. Considering the spiritual master as sadhu, as the pure devotee, Sajatiya, the spiritual master has the same aspiration which we also have. Then naturally it causes a perfect association. Like 1 and 1 instead of 2 becomes 11. Sajatiya Sangha has that power. Bhav Pushti, it feeds positively the fervor of devotion. When we are associating with a person who carries the same aspiration in his heart as we also want to have, then it is very wonderful. So these 4 things we discussed, but here the spiritual master, the first 3, these 3 are the first and foremost gateways to the path of devotion. Once again, everybody can remember. First is taking Guru Padashraya, taking shelter of the spiritual master's lotus feet. Tasmat Krishna Dikshadi Shikshanam. Then be initiated in Krishna mantra and become educated with all the different aspects of pure devotional service. And third, with full confidence and complete free from duplicity, serving the spiritual master unconditionally, and cultivating that association and attaining perfection eventually. So receiving instructions in the service of Lord and faithfully serving Sri Guru. So these 3 are the first and foremost gateways to the path of devotion. Therefore, as one enters the gate of the temple of devotion, one must first of all take shelter of the lotus feet of Sri Guru. We will always address the feet of Sri Guru as lotus feet. That importance, that understanding should always be in our awareness, like an awakening. They are not ordinary feet; they are divine feet, and that's why anything divine or sublime or above the modes of material nature, they are compared to lotus. Lotus has that connotation of divine, you know. Because one who is not devoted to the lotus feet of Sri Guru is deprived of devotion or attaining the Lord's grace. Spiritual Master's lotus feet is the avenue through which we become connected to the unlimited grace. The original source is Krishna, divine couple, correct? But Spiritual Master's lotus feet are the receptacle, you know, our connection of that grace of Krishna. So just as water turns into, and what is the Swarupa? What is the position of the spiritual master? So one example is given in the scriptures. Just as water becomes like ice when it comes in touch with the more cold weather or other water, you know. So just as water turns into ice when it is frozen and thus increases its quality of coldness. Similarly, when the grace of the Lord becomes dense, it becomes manifest before the devotee in the form of Sri Guru. Wow, what a wonderful understanding. So Sri Guru is the condensed form of the grace of the Supreme. And so when the condensed form of the grace of Supreme, one comes across, one feels very cool, correct? You know? And his heart feels cool. Naturally, if he come in touch with very, very cold thing. So actually the soul has been hankering for to experience the eternal cool shelter or connection to the Supreme. And the Supreme, or the mercy of the Supreme, the conditioned soul perceives first of all through the condensed mercy which takes the form of Sri Guru. So that is the thing. So it cools, to cool the heart of the devotee, which is afflicted by the threefold material misery, with a stream of bhajana rasa, and bless him with the relish of loving service of the Lord's lotus feet eventually. So this is how the real journey of a soul to attain the supreme destination, the loving service of the Lord's lotus feet, begins by taking shelter or becoming connected in subservience of the spiritual master. So in the first line, the word Sri Guru Charna Padma. So Nautam Das Thakur indicates the Guru Tattva, Sri Guru. Why the word Sri is used? Sri means opulence, correct? So which opulence we are discussing here? The opulence of love, correct? Mahaprabhu says in Chaitanya Charitamrita, प्रेम धन बिनाए दरिद्र जीवन दास करी वेतन मोरे देहो प्रेम धन. So Shri means wealth. And what is that wealth? The love of Krishna, love of the divine couple. So that's why the ultimate or the absolute meaning of Guru is Sri Guru. because the word Sri means the treasure of Prema. Anyone who has this treasure alone can be called Sri Guru. There could be many gurus, correct? But Sri Guru can be only one who is endowed with, who is enriched with this treasure of love. Only he is Sri Guru. In Srimad Bhagavatam also describes Tasmad Gurum Prapadyeta Jigyasu Shreya Uttamam Shabde Paricha Nishnatam Brahmani Upshamashrayam. Very beautiful definition Lord Krishna gives about the Sri Guru. Definition of Sri Guru, he explains to Uddhavji. So he who desires the says Tasmad Gurum Prapadyeta Jigyasu Shreya Uttamam. He who desires to learn about the most auspicious devotional principles should take shelter of the feet of Sri Guru, means one who is endowed with love of God. Bhagavati achalo bhavo yad bhagavat. Sri Guru is that Bhagavat, that devotee who is filled in his heart with the achal bhava, achal prema of Krishna. Bhagavati achalo bhavo yad bhagavat sangat. And by taking shelter of such a Sri Guru, one also attains, one also becomes Bhagavat. So how one becomes Bhagavat or pure devotee? Bhagavad Bhakti, Bhagavad Bhakta Sangena Parijayate. If the perfection of our human potential is that we become a pure devotee, we also become Bhagavat. Then the process is Bhagavad Bhakti, Bhagavad Bhakta Sangena Parijayate, only by taking shelter of such a Bhagavat Sri Guru, who is in whose heart the purest Achal Prem of the divine couple is fully manifest. So he who desires to learn about the most auspicious devotional principles should take shelter of the feet of Sri Guru, who knows the scriptures. Shabde, Shabde means the scripture. Pare, Shabde means the Shabda Brahma, and Pare means Para Brahma. Shabde Parecha Nishnatam, one who is expert, one who is realized not only in the ultimate essence of the scriptures, but also one who is experienced in pure sentiments towards the Supreme. He who knows the scriptures and who has practical experience of God. How one experiences God? Only through loving sentiments. Without the bhava, how can one experience Krishna? Bhava grahi janardana. Krishna reciprocates in accordance to the bhava. He is bhava grahi. If he grants something, if he accepts something, if he honors something, then he will reciprocate also. So one who has direct experience of reciprocation with God. Shabde pare cha nishnatam, one who is expert in both. Brahmani upasamashram, and one who is being situated in the absolute consciousness is free from the mundane affinity or temptation towards the mundane attractions within the three modes of material nature. So if Sri Gurudev does not know the truth, suppose, is not conversant with the scriptures or the essence of the scriptures, then what happens? If he is not conversant, he may have absolute faith, no doubt, but if he is not conversant with the scriptural description or essence through the scriptures, he cannot erase if any doubt is raised by the disciple. Your disciples in the growing stage, they have many doubts and many things to be made clear. If he is not expert in explaining the essence of the scriptures, then he cannot remove the students' doubts about bhajan matters. And if he is not devoted, means if he does not have very uh, developed devotion or the bhav bhakti, he cannot infuse bhajan experiences, because what ultimately matters is the realization. So realization means feeling of bond with the Supreme. It is same thing. It is not what but who you know that matters. It's a British saying. It is not what but who you know. So who Krishna is, one can only through the bhava, without having developed the bhava, at the stage of bhava, at least the asakti stage. Asakti is the first sprout of bhava bhakti. Because that asakti towards the Supreme will free him from asakti towards anything mundane. So that is the level of, and that experience the spiritual master can infuse in the disciple. That's why it says that if he's not uh, devoted, or if he's not a pure devotee, he cannot. Devotee means deep asakti, very deep attachment for the Supreme. That is devotion. So if he's not devoted, he cannot infuse bhajan experiences into his student. Now, the question may be raised, okay, we can understand whether Sri Guru knows the truth when we see his scholarship, right? Scriptural scholarship. That's fine. But devotion, whether he is pure devotee, whether he has experience of the Supreme, because experience is a very subjective thing. How can I perceive someone else's experience? It's a very subjective thing. The devotional sentiment is a certain mentality. How can a sadhaka learn whether Sri Guru has devotion or not? So before we become fully convinced to honor someone as Sri Guru, we should come to this conviction of our own heart, that yes, we perceive the spiritual master as a pure devotee. That's why the answer to this is upasama ashrayam. This is a very critical word. Upasama ashraya means he has fully subdued the six enemies of devotion, which are the kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya, lust, anger, greed. These are the primary. Kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya. We compare this, in gradations, 10 times greater than the one. So the six enemies of devotion, if we Bhagavad Gita describes, Kama is the primary, but Kama is further transformed into Krodha, lust, anger, 10 times greater in force than lust. 10 times greater in force is the greed. Kam, Krodha, Lobha, Moha is 10 times. And like this, Kam, Krodha means lust, anger, greed, delusion, Kam, Krodha, Lobha, Moha. Kam, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, delusion. Mada means intoxicated situation. Mada Mascharya. Kam, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, and Matsarya. Matsarya means the envy. So envy is like the sixth category cancer. If the enemies of devotion, lust is just first category cancer, It goes to, so in the very beginning, if the lust, if it is not transferred in the direction to attain its original position or status as love, love for the Supreme. So anyway, so the spiritual master, Sri Guru, he has fully subdued the 6 enemies of devotion. In this way, Sri Guru will be able to destroy different vices of his surrendered disciple that are unfavorable in his bhajans. So all the vices of the disciple, one who takes unconditional shelter, then by his merciful glance and also merciful instructions, he will be able to free the disciple from all the vices who is unconditionally surrendered to him. Bless him with the gift of prema and bring him near the lotus feet of the Lord. So how the gift of prema, it becomes transferred, sankramit. It is like contagious. The loving sentiment, pure loving sentiment, which is manifest in the heart of this Sri Guru, one who takes shelter of such pure devotee, Sri Guru. Out of course this mercy, that same loving sentiment is transferred in the heart of the disciple. So the process further is described. Sri Nautam Das Thakur says, Sri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakti Sadma. Here the word Charana means the feet, is used in a devotional manner to worship someone, just like in Vedic nomenclature, in giving the title, no? Swami Charana or Goswami Charan. Charan means it's a devotional connotation, the word. So actually, Sri Guru Charan means Sri Gurudev himself. It is not that his feet are different from him. It is a devotional connotation. When we address someone with devotional attitude, then we address or we show our devotion or dedication or surrender to the lotus feet, correct? One surrenders not to somebody's head, rather the head surrenders to the feet, down. Surrender means going down, surrendering, becoming subservient. So that's why, so actually Sri Guru Charana means Sri Gurudev. The word Padma means lotus, indicates that just as the lotus is the abode of honey, sweetness, Sri Gurudev is similarly the supreme shelter of Kevala pure devotion. So pure devotion, that is the real charm, real attraction, real fragrance. So Sri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakti Sadma. Sadma means abode. So this charm or the sweetness of pure devotional service resides in the lotus feet of Sri Guru. So Sri Guru is the supreme shelter of Kevala or pure devotion, Kevala Bhakti Sadma. Shelter or the abode. So definition of Kevala Bhakti, pure devotional service, is described by Rupa Goswami in Bhakti Sama Sindhu very in detail. Anya Bhilashita Shunyam Jnana Karmadi Anavritam Anukulyena Krishna Anushilanam Bhaktir Uttama. The highest or the purest devotional service defined so wonderfully. What is the definition? That it is free from ulterior desires. Anya bhilashita shunyam. Free from ulterior motives, like reaping the fruit of fruitive activities and non-dualistic knowledge, bhog or moksha, while performing apparently devotional service, if one lingers on the desire to have sense gratification either of this world or next world after one leaves this body, or one aspires to merge in the existence of God, lose one's existence in God. The purpose of following the path of pure devotional service is to attain the eternal service bond with the divine couple, correct? Becoming free from all other hankerings, including the hankering for liberation. So this anya vilashita shunyam, becoming free from ulterior desires, like reaping the fruits of fruitive activities and non-dualistic knowledge. Anya vilashita shunyam, jnana karmadi anavitam. So this is described as the tatastha lakshan of pure devotional service. And anukulyena krishnanushilanam. Anukulyena. Anukulya means which is favorable to Krishna, or which is rochmana, which is pleasing to Krishna. Pleasing to Krishna, activity which is pleasing to Krishna. That is called pure devotional service. Now, this is very interesting. Anya vilashita shunyam jnana karmadi anavitam anukulyena Krishna anushilanam. Anushilana means our activity, the pravritti, anything which one does through the faculty of his mind, means thinking, speech, or glorifying, or through actions. Any activity, any proclivity in the mind, any expression through the words, which is pleasing to Krishna. Anukulyena Krishnanushilanam. If the definition of pure devotional service is only to become involved or participate in the activities which is pleasing to Krishna, there is a possibility of two doshas, or two shortcomings, because anukulyena, this word is very, anukulyena means favorably disposed towards Krishna. So what if, from Krishna's point of view, being favorably disposed toward Krishna means what? Anything which pleases Krishna. But if the attitude of the person is not to be favorable to Krishna, but to harm him, or to not to increase his joy, but to kill him, like the asuras, the activity of the asuras or demons in which they engage Krishna in fighting. So Krishna enjoys the fighting with demons, correct? Krishna does anything for his own pleasure. So in one way, because it is very, very interesting to Krishna, it is pleasing to Krishna. But the devotees, their own attitude is negative, correct? Their attitude is negative. They are not targeting to increase the joy of Krishna. Their target is to kill Krishna, to harm Krishna. That's why, although their activity, their involvement gives joy to Krishna, but their activity cannot be called devotion. Because in their activity, they are exceeding the target. Although they are causing joy to Krishna, so the target of pure devotional service is what? To increase the joy of Krishna. This point should be very wonderfully, nicely understood. But there is additional motive to kill Krishna. So the demons think, oh, Krishna think he can beat us and kill us. He is having a lot of fun. Okay, let him have a lot of fun, but we will kill him. So it is called, there is a concept in the Bhakti Samit Sindhu, Ati Vyapti Dosha. Ati Vyapti Dosh and Avyapti Dosha. So Ati Vyapti Dosh means the target is to increase the joy of Krishna. And Ati means to exceed that. What is exceeding? To kill Krishna. Okay, Krishna is getting a lot of fun, and eventually we will just kill him. So they are exceeding the target, and that is not devotion. In Mother Yashoda's case, when she put the baby Krishna down while she was breastfeeding Krishna, she wanted to protect the boiling milk from overflowing. And this action on the part of Mother Yashoda was not very pleasing to Krishna. So Mother Yashoda's action did not meet the target of increasing Krishna's joy, correct? Ati Vyapti. The target is not met. But because Mother Yashoda did not have any negative attitude or feeling to harm Krishna, although Krishna was not pleased by Mother Yashoda's action, but because she was completely anukul, so our Goswami described the definition of anukulya bhakti means there is no sentiment for any negativity, nothing pratikul in the attitude and actions of the demons or suras, although apparently they give a lot of joy to Krishna, correct? But in their attitude, they want to kill him. They want to harm Krishna. That's why their action is not devotion. But in Mother Yashoda's case, although apparently she is not very anukul to Krishna. Anukul means which brings joy to Krishna. Apparently, and really the difference matters, correct? Apparently, Mother Yashoda is not giving joy to Krishna, but in her consciousness, she wants to protect the milk which is very dear to Krishna. She wants to make wonderful sweets which are very pleasing to Krishna. So apparently, she is not meeting the target immediately, but because there is nothing negative to harm Krishna, her attitude, her action is considered pure devotional service in the heavens. So this different aspects of devotion, the definition, the word anushilan especially is derived from the root practice, anushilan, and pravitti, rules and nivritti. So the practice, two kinds, in actions, certain things which are favorable to bring joy to Krishna, then freeing oneself from those things which are not, which are harmful, or which are unnecessary, or so nivritti, certain things through the mind, through the words and the sense actions, one is to be engaged in such a way that it brings joy to Krishna. And nivritti means avoiding all the aparadhas, not only in the bhajan aparadha, but also in the seva aparadha. So these are the two kinds, prohibitions, rules and regulations. The first one consists of physical and verbal activities and a loving mentality. The pravitti. In other words, practical service conducted with the body, see the three faculties of expression or activity, practice, through the mind, through the words, and through the sense actions. So the practical service conducted with the body, glorification of the Lord's activities, and attributes conducted with the voice, hearing, conducted with the ears, meditation on the Lord's forms, attributes, and pastimes conducted with the mind, and maintaining a loving attitude is conducted with the heart. So these are all the positive pravritti rules. The prohibitions are endeavors to avoid offenses during formal worship or offenses to the holy name. When these endeavors are conducted without desires for enjoyment or liberation and are merely filled with absorption in hearing and chanting for the love of the Lord, then that is called pure devotion. So pure devotion is basically freed from all the ulterior motives, only focusing to bring the joy, increase the joy for Krishna. Anukulyane Krishnanushilanam, practice which only devotes to only bring joy to Krishna. So Anukulyane Krishnanushilanam. So this is the Swarup Lakshan. This is the true nature of devotion. Anukulyane Krishnanushilanam. Through the faculty of our mind and the senses and the speech, anything which is done to bring and increase the joy of Krishna, that is the Swarup Lakshan. That is the very nature of devotion. And to becoming free from all the ulterior motives, Anya Bhilashita Shunyam Jnana Karma Renavatam. Karma means which targets to attain the means for sense gratification, and jnana means to attain liberation. But what liberation and sense gratification has anything to do with bringing joy to Krishna? That's why these are the marginal or tatastha lakshya. Tatastha means to be kept aside, marginal, to margin out, to keep them. So anya bhilashita shunyam. That's why apparently one may be engaged in pure devotional service, but internally, if one is sustaining this hankering for jnana and karma and other ulterior motives, that is not pure devotional service. So pure devotional service is both targeting exclusively to increase the joy of Krishna and always staying free from ulterior motives and any personal sense gratification and desire for liberation. So this is also designated with a word like Uttama Bhakti. No? Uttama means paramount, highest nature. Nirguna, transcendental. Kevala or pure. Mukhya means main. Ananya, all these names for Uttama Bhakti. Ananyas Chintayanto Mam. Ye Janha Paripasade. Ananya Chetaha Satatam. Yo Mam Smriti Nityashah. Tasyaham Sulabham Partha. Krishna reveals this secret. Only by Ananya Bhakti he becomes available. So the purpose of performing pure devotional service is to attain the supreme grace of the divine couple so that they accept us in their fold as a confidential maid servant. Na? And that's why this Ananya exclusive devotion will help us definitely. Exclusive devotion alone will help us to attain this Swarup Siddhi, the accomplishment of one's genuine form as an eternal associate, parshad of the divine couple. So, Nautam Das Thakur, to attain this platform of pure devotional service, the taking shelter of the lotus feet of the spiritual master alone will cause Sri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakti. Kevala Bhakti means Shuddha Bhakti, purest Bhakti, Uttama Bhakti, because spiritual master's lotus feet are the abode of pure devotional service. So if we attach ourselves, our consciousness to the service of the divine lotus feet of Sri Guru, we are definitely, we are guaranteed to attain this accomplishment of our heart's ultimate aspiration to attain the perfection of our human potential. So Narottam Das Thakur calls Sri Gurudev Kevala Bhakati Sadma, and thus defines the identity or the constitution of Sri Guru, while at the same time glorifying him. Sri Guru Charana is a wonderful devotional combination. Sri Guru Charana, the lotus feet of the spiritual master, is a wonderful devotional combination of Godhead and devotee. So in the lotus feet of Sri Guru, a devotee or sadhak or disciple meets, is where the meeting of a devotee with the Supreme. So one has the same experience as one surrenders oneself truly to the lotus feet of spiritual master, Sri Guru. One experiences like feeling the combination or attaining the Supreme. It's a wonderful devotional combination of Godhead and devotee, and thus he is the vessel of pure devotion. Sadma. Sadma means abode, or the where one receives the pure devotional service. So the Sri Guru is the vessel of pure devotion, both of devotion in practice and perfect loving devotion. Means during the sadhana bhakti, devotion practice means sadhana bhakti, and perfect loving devotion means siddhavastha, attaining the perfection in both stages. The shelter and the connection and the bond of the spiritual master's lotus feet will cause the perfection both in sadhana bhakti and help or cause the perfect loving devotion. From the lotus feet of Sri Guru, that are the abode of pure devotion. The living entities attains the pure devotional nectar of bhajan. Means basically only a strong loving bond with a spiritual master will cause one to experience the nectar of pure devotional service. By the grace of the devotional lotus feet of Sri Guru, the practitioner erases all his vices. This is very concrete advantage or the benefit one feels. By the grace of the devotional lotus feet of Sri Guru, the practitioner erases all his vices and easily accomplishes a loving attainment of the Supreme. On the other hand, when one has no faith in the lotus feet of Sri Guru, or if one commits the fault of being ungrateful to him, so this is the immature stage they are describing. What is the definition of mature stage? Mature stage is only when one develops that affinity. It's like falling in love. That's why this concept of Sri Guru Charane Rati, that should be the only target actually. Because when that target is reached in our consciousness, when our perception, our appraisal of the spiritual master is the most blessed one, then this mishap of becoming ungrateful to him, that won't be there. So the seed of offense is sown only when one becomes ungrateful, and bhakti or bhajan becomes dry and dead-like. Therefore, Narottam Das Thakur says, Bando mui savadhan sane. You have taken shelter of the spiritual master's lotus feet, who is the most blessed. And attaining loving attachment to his lotus feet is attaining the Supreme. So how can we risk? How can one afford to take it very lightly, take it casually, take it in a mundane vision? Because the Sri Guru is anything but mundane. So we cannot, our mundane vision cannot go, or can only go ill together. How can one perceive? How can one be blessed with the ultimate benefit of taking shelter of the lotus feet of the spiritual master if one uh, if one's vision remains mundane? This mundane vision may creep in because of sometimes familiarity. Like familiarity builds contempt. In Srimad Bhagavatam, it is described. Sannikarsho hi martyanam. So this is a symptom of a conditioned soul. That's why during the time of dedication, once one takes shelter of the spiritual master through initiation, our spiritual master used to say that one should at least try for 5 years, unconditionally dedicate under the direction of the spiritual master. And dedication is supposed to lead to devotion. Devotion means deep attachment, that rati, Sri Guru Charane Rati. So the unconditional dedication one begins with, and if one is very sincerely dedicated, then it is supposed to lead to devotion. And once the devotion is developed towards the lotus feet and service of the spiritual master, then one is safe. And that's why Bandhomu is savdhan. Savdhan means one should be very, very vigilant, not to commit any offense in the mind, in our words, in addressing and dealing with the spiritual master, in behavior, because that mundane attitude or mundane vision may creep in because of the familiarity. So when we are with the spiritual master, our material conditioning through our senses, what we see, what we hear, and different things. So it's quite possible. Sannikarshohi martyanam anadarana karanam. The familiarity builds contempt. Familiarity can cause contempt, lack of sufficient, absolute respect or honor, which the spiritual master deserves from the disciple. So example given in Bhagavatam is Sannikarsho hi martyanam anadarana karanam gangam hitva yathanyambhas tatratyo yati siddhaye. Example is given, somebody may be residing on the bank of the Ganges. Ganges is most purifying river, isn't it? People come from all over the places to become purified by taking bath in the Ganges water. But can you imagine? Think of a person whose residence is on the bank of the Ganga river. Now, if he thinks, oh, every day I'm taking bath in Ganges river, what a big deal, correct? His familiarity. And if he sometimes, oh, let me go to other places to become purified. Gangam Hitva, so he gives up the association of the Ganges, which is most purifying. Gangam Hitva Yathanyambhas, Anya Ambhas. He goes to other places of water to become purified. Correct? So the shelter and the connection, loving bond with the spiritual master's lotus feet is the most purifying thing. But one has to sustain that absolute vision in his consciousness about the divine and the most blessed nature status of the spiritual master. Then one will not hanker for any other shelter or any other distraction, attraction for anything else. It has to be absolute shelter. Bandho mui savdhan sane. The practitioner should carefully render service to that Sri Guru. For by doing so, all his spiritual pursuits are easily attained. Vishrambhena Guru Seva, Rupa Goswami describes. Being aware of the principle of Sri Guru, it is imperative. Imperative means it's like indispensable actually. It is imperative to engage, it's compulsory. You cannot run away from it. It is imperative to engage in his service after establishing unswerving faith in him. Unswerving, undeviated. Sri Krishna has defined the Sri Guru principle from his own mouth to Sri Uddhava, correct? Acharyam mam vijaniyat. Acharyam mam vijaniyat. Nav manyeta karhichit na martya buddhya asuveta sarva deva mayo guru. Srimad Bhagavatam. You should know the Acharya of Sri Guru. So, Sri Guru is our Acharya. That should be the understanding and appreciation. So, Krishna says, you should know the Acharya to be me. Krishna is establishing the status of Sri Guru. You should, all of us, we should know the Acharya or Sri Guru to be me, known different from Krishna. Never slight or disrespect him or find faults in him, considering him to be an ordinary mortal. For Sri Guru is the aggregate of all the gods. Only Krishna is described. Sarva Deva Mayo Guru. Krishna Mande Jagat Guru. But Krishna is describing Sri Guru for the disciple is the aggregate of all the gods. The practitioner must establish full faith in these principles of Sri Guru and certainly engage in Sri Gurudev's service so that no kind of human conception, Marte Buddhi, though he is also mortal being, he is also growing old, he is getting white hair, he is also lack of certain things, many things, all these things which we see in a mortal being. But the spiritual master has to be perceived in his Swarup, in his eternal identity, as an eternal associate of Krishna. Because in his consciousness, he has developed that bhava, which is suitable to an eternal associate of Krishna. So in our case, we are studying this Bhavullasrati, Radha Dashyam. So to have the perception of the spiritual master as a confidential maidservant of Srimati Radharani. So how one would honor and love, if that is the perception of the disciple, one will not perceive any less, one will not honor or love any less than one would offer to Srimati Radharani herself. So that's why in Pujyata, in worship and in love, equal to Srimati Radharani. That's why Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that in this Raganuga Manjari Bhav Upasana, the position of the spiritual master is that of Srimati Radharani. Because in honor and in love, it is on the same level as Srimati Radharani. And so that no kind of human conception of Sri Guru can enter. Even after being engaged in Sri Guru's service for a long time, our minds, bodies, and words are still engaged in so many uncontrolled activities, feelings, and conduct, causing so many heavy offenses to be committed that cause so many obstacles to reaping the results of devotional service. The cause of that is that we are not fully aware of the Sri Guru principle or the rules and prohibitions concerning the service of Sri Guru given by the scriptures, so that we cannot engage in Sri Guru's service with care. So we have to be very careful. Hence, Sri Thakur, Nautam Das Thakur says, Bando mui savdhan mate. The rules of Sri Guru service are the following, certain rules to be followed, describe the scripture. Then there are also some prohibitions also given. So we can just outline, read certain rules, vidhi, in the service of the Sri Guru. What are the things we should observe? The practitioner should personally bring water for bathing Sri Guru and washing his feet, massage his feet, rub his body, bathe him, anoint him with sandalwood pulp, and wash his clothes. When he sees Gurudev coming, he should come before him and offer him prostrated obeisances with 8 limbs of the body. He should personally fetch the ingredients of Guru's daily puja, such as tulsi leaves and flowers. He should daily offer the Lord's prasad of food and drink to Sri Guru, and then eat the remnants. When pronouncing the name of Sri Guru, he should first lower the head, fold the hands, and utter the title Ashtotar Shata Shri Sri. Then utter the name of Sri Guru and then end with the title Prabhupada, Vishnupada, Sripada. We used to, every time we remember, whenever we always address Guru Maharaj, His Divine Grace. Srila Sripad. So Srila Sripad includes that. Srila Sripad or His Divine Grace, depending in English or local language. So that is the address every time. We are not addressing anybody ordinary. How would we address God? Most worshipable, most honorable person, most lovable person. We will address him as all in all. No? Right? So when pronouncing the name of Sri Guru, he should first lower the head, not like this. हम किसी से कम नहीं. I am also no less important. Correct? Many people may have, oh, I did this for Sri Guru, or I'm so important, so I can deal with him on the equal level. No. When pronouncing the name of Sri Guru, he should first lower the head, fold the hands, and utter the title Ashtotar Shata Shri Sri, or His Divine Grace. Then utter the name of Sri Guru and then end with the titles Prabhupada, Sripad, or Vishnupad. With body, words, and mind, he should satisfy the Guru with sincere, innocent conduct and a pleasant, loving attitude with his own wealth, body, abode, and life heirs. Bando mui savadhan mate, with folding hands and very, very attentive in the service. There are prohibitions. I think prohibitions should be more noticeable. No? Do not step over the seat, garments, bed, shoes, and other possessions of Sri Gurudev. Never imitate the gait, the way he walks, the way his style, which, never imitate the gait, speech, voice, or gestures of Sri Guru. Do not spread the legs in front of him. Place one leg over the other thigh. Because if you put in front of Sri Guru, one leg on the other thigh, then our feet or the sole of one feet is visible to him. So we are just like showing our feet to him. That is not good attitude. So do not spread the legs first. Place one leg over the other thigh before Sri Guru or point the feet to him. Do not yawn, laugh loudly, spread out the fingers like this. sway the body or make hands and feet or any other limb dance in front of Sri Guru. Not just act casual or just not caring, like it's like totally unconcerned. Do not sit close to Sri Guru or before him. Do not sit close to Sri Guru or before him. He has not taken his seat and you sit before he has taken his seat. Do not lie down on a bed in front of Sri Guru. Do not lord it over others or chastise others in front of Sri Guru. When staying in the presence of Sri Guru, never go anywhere without his permission. Never explain the scriptures or give initiation without permission of the Sri Guru. Do not use any language to the Sri Guru that sounds like an order or give him any such indication with a finger or the hand. So these are all etiquettes, correct? Never use disrespectful words like give me this or take that. It's like we are talking to our junior or somebody. When something is required, then pray for it humbly. Please permit me to do such, and please permit me to say so. Never eat Sri Guru's food or take his belongings without permission. Never go to any place where someone slanders Sri Gurudev or diminishes his glories. Do not look at the face of the slanderer of Sri Guru. Tolerate the rebukes and chastisements of Sri Gurudev, and never treat him in a hostile manner. Wow. Even if he treats you in a hostile manner. In short, one should never act in such a way to the Sri Guru that his glories are diminished or that he appears like an ordinary human being. He is Guru. Guru means heavy. He is Guru, and Guru means heavy. He cannot become light or ordinary or insignificant in his glories. Bando mui savadhana sane. So we have to be very, very careful. So there is another deep secret in Srila Narottam Das Thakur's usage of the words Bando mui savadhana mate. This is very, very amazing, because those who become devoted truly under the shelter of the spiritual master, it catches attention of many. So one has to be like, if somebody attains such a glorious position of fortune, then one comes in the sight of others, and others may become envious, man. So it's a most fortunate status for a conditioned soul, for a sadhaka, for a disciple, to become a surrendered soul under the lotus feet of the spiritual master. Now, why he has to worry? There's a story I will share at the end about, but one has to be very careful. It's not that one becomes just blinded. Oh, I have taken complete unconditional shelter of the spiritual master. Now I don't care for anybody. I ignore everything. We cannot become careless. Careless, even we cannot afford to be even carefree or ignoring, because many people are watching. Many want to put us down. So from that point of view, Thakur Mahasaya is describing Bandho Mui Savdhan Sane. Often the demigods who are above us, watching upon us, often the demigods confuse the intelligence of the student who is fully surrendered to his Sri Guru. and try to diminish his devotion. This is described in Srimad Bhagavatam and other places. Because the demigods think, wow, this person having taken shelter, full shelter of the spiritual master, he will just transcend even our position in this very lifetime. He will attain the supreme and we will be stuck here still. So they don't want that anybody who is below them, beneath them, the residents of this earth planet and residents of the heavenly planets, they cannot stand somebody exceeding their portion. So often the demigods confuse the intelligence of the student who is surrendered to Sri Guru and try to diminish his devotion. The reason is that the demigods are thinking, on the strength of his extraordinary Guru Bhakti, this Guru Nishta Sadhaka tries to exceed us and will certainly attain the Lord's supreme abode. Therefore, if we can lure him away from his devotion to Sri Guru, lure him away from his devotion to his Sri Guru, he will not be able to exceed us. Wow, how envious even demigods can imagine. Alas, if the demigods are so envious, try to dim a student's devotion to his Sri Guru, then what doubt can there be that human beings that are unable to tolerate another person's excellence, in the material world we see that we cannot stand the fortune or greater fortune of others. Matsarya. Parotkarsham asahanam matsarya. We cannot stand the glorious position of others in front of us. So if the demigods cannot stand this great fortune of the student, they will try, because just by taking shelter of the spiritual, that immediately we have attained perfection. We have to be very alert, very careful throughout our life. We are all fallible, no? So even if we have taken to this path of pure devotional service, one should not have any misgiving, thinking that one has become a pure devotee and immune to fall down. One should not be that careless or that carefree. Oh, nothing can happen to me. Srila Prabhupada was once asked by his disciple, Prabhupada, when you go in front of deities, you are praying to him, praying to them. What do you pray, Prabhupada? Prabhupada say, I am praying that, oh Krishna, please protect me from your Maya. So this is the prayer of a purest devotee, just for our benefit. So in the same way, even when we have taken the best decision in our life since eternity, that we have taken shelter of a pure devotee in Sri Guru, but we have to be alert. There are forces which are there to pull us down. People cannot stand the greater fortune of people around me, people around us. We have to watch out. They are ready to they're just waiting for the opportunity where they can diminish our glory. So demigods won't means, will not go back in doing so. So what about the common masses? Then what doubt can there be that human beings that are unable to tolerate another person's excellence, that are wicked, natured, and blinded by desires for trifle things like profit or fame, will try to do all kinds of things to diminish the student's devotion to his Sri Guru. Therefore, the student who is loyal to his Sri Guru should take special care, and with the aid of the saints, other devotees, associate other devotees, and the scriptures, engage himself in the devotional worship of Sri Guru's lotus feet. An awakened soul or sadhak or disciple should think, this is my opportunity since eternity. I cannot afford to blow it. One has to safeguard it through good association. So, therefore, the student who is loyal to his Sri Guru should take special care, and with the aid of the saints and the scriptures, engage himself in the devotional worship of Sri Guru's lotus feet. In that case, neither the demigods nor human beings will be able to diminish the Guru Bhakti of such a well-supported student. So after this, Sri Thakur, Narottam Das Thakur says, Jahare prasade bhai e bhava tariya jai. By whose mercy Krishna prapti hoye jahan hoite. As a result of worshipping the lotus feet of Sri Gurudev, who is the incarnation of the Lord's deep compassion, Karuna Shakti, and the abode of pure devotion. So two aspects. He is the incarnation of Lord's deep compassion, Karuna Shakti, Krishna Kripa Shri Murti, and the abode of pure devotion also, Kevala Bhakti Sadhana, abode of pure devotion. Two things, Sri Guru. Incarnation of Krishna's deep compassion, Karuna Kripa Shakti, and his lotus feet are the abode of pure devotion. The student will, as a result of these two understandings or the status of the spiritual master, the student will attain both devotion in practice and accomplished devotion, Siddha Bhakti. Not only, in sadhan Bhakti, he will also be safe, and very safely he will also be accomplished in ultimate devotion, pure devotional service. When Sri Guru is pleased, attainment of the Lord and the supreme goal of his loving service are easily accomplished. Therefore, the cessation of material suffering disappears for good as a mere concomitant factor. What a wonderful thing. When Sri Guru is pleased, attainment of the Lord and the supreme goal of his loving service are easily accomplished. Therefore, the cessation of material suffering, kleshagni, cessation of material suffering disappears for good, for all time, as a mere concomitant factor, as a secondary benefit, The devotee need not bother at all about liberation from the material world, for when he takes shelter of the lifeboat of the Lord's lotus feet, the ocean of material existence becomes as significant as the water in a cow's footprint. However, the sadhaka should be particularly concerned about personal vices that may injure his devotion. In the opinion of the devotional scriptures, the attainment of God through the eradication of all vices has been defined as the supreme goal of human life. But the conditioned soul is plagued due to his previous sanskaras, plagued with so many vices. Even if he makes endeavor on his own, he feels so incapacitated. He feels so. What to do? That's where the shelter of the spiritual master's lotus feet, Sri Guru's lotus feet. By Sri Guru's grace, these vices are easily destroyed, and the practitioner will be blessed with the attainment of the Lord's greatest ambrosial grace. The only cause, the only cause of the destruction of vices that are hard to conquer even by the best endeavor of the student. In Bhakti Sandarbha, Jiva Goswami is describing the glory of the protection of the student or disciple who takes unconditional shelter at the lotus feet of Sri Guru. That taking shelter becomes the only cause of the destruction of vices that are hard to conquer by the student's various own endeavors and of the Lord's satisfaction. Not only the freedom of the vices and also the satisfaction of the Lord, the only cause is taking unconditional shelter at the lotus feet of Sri Guru. is the grace of Sri Guru. And this is also the conclusion of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's prayer in Guru Ashtakam. Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasado, yasya prasadat nagati kutopi. So this is also the, with this understanding that by Sri Guru's grace, the Lord's grace is attained. But when he is not pleased, the supreme goal is never attained. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. I think we have already over time. So we'll stop here, and thank you for your patient listening. If anybody has any question, comment, or anything one would like to share, please. We can only say or read on this that much. This unlimited treasure. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Pranam Shri Guru. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Welcome.
Amazingly beautiful satsang. And Shri Guru, who could have better explained than you the beautiful points about our Shri Guru? Thank you so much for the wonderful satsang. And you don't only explain Shri Guru, when we see your disciples, we experience also all of the above qualities. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Pranam.
Where is the subjective feeling? So that is the potential. Here, what we are discussing in Guru Tattva is the potential perfection, potential perception of the disciple. So we are apparently it is as if highlighting the by highlighting the absolute status of the spiritual master, but that is pointing the potential of the perception of the disciple. That is very much essential. What is the take? What we take? We can only enhance our appreciation or appraisal of the status or the most blessedness of the spiritual master. You know, his place in the life of the disciple was indispensable. It is indispensable for the disciple to develop that divine perception, divine appraisal of the status of the spiritual master, and that alone will suffice. Everything else will fall short to cause him attaining the perfection of human potential. Correct? So, in one shot, if everything is accomplished, that is Sri Guru Charane Rati. Rati is only possible if one is perceived in one's consciousness as that most blessed. So all these things and description is all connected to the singular goal of attaining that loving sentiments, most loving attitude, most worshipful attitude towards the lotus feet of the spiritual master. So it is all for the disciples to appreciate how much one can honor one's Sri Guru. Hare Krishna. All right.
Hare Krishna, Shri Guru. Dandavat Pranam, Shri Guru.
Hare Krishna.
Fascinating satsang, Shri Guru. Fascinating rendering, Shri Guru. And many things, Shri Guru, when we hear from your lotus mouth, it straight away touches the heart, hits the heart, everything. And something for me, uh, it gets revealed or understandable over a period of time, and don't know how much time I need, Shri Guru, how much grace, lots and lots throughout and throughout. Shri Guru, one question, like you mentioned, in terms of our dealings with spiritual master and address and things, we many times we see and ourselves as well, we say the Om Vishnu Pad, Astotra Parivrajacharya. And sometimes along this, we see Sri Guru numbers being written 108, 1008, or 100,008. What would be the significance, Sri Guru, of these numbers?
To bring in practice, correct? We are not used to it. But in order to give us the practice to in expressing, we start meaning it, because if we don't mean it, we don't feel it, why should we speak like that? It would be a joke. No? And, he deserves that. And when one person speaks, then others can also learn, others can also feel that motivation that, oh, he's anything but ordinary. So in order to make him stand out, not only in our dealing with him, but also to inspire and express his glorious position as such. So that's why Sri Krishna Kripa Shri Murti, correct? This is his divine grace. That's why in our culture we do express the spiritual master, his divine grace. Krishna Kripa Shri Murti. So that's why the practice and cultivating this thought process, what he means to us, what is his status, he is everything for us. He is the key to unlock the attaining the Supreme. Correct? The door of attaining the Supreme is locked. Sri Guru has the key. So he is the key. So without the key, without the help, without earning his full favor, we will still be deprived. So best thing is to be always feeling oneself behind in subservience. We can walk along him, along or behind is a safe position, with or behind. Of course, to serve only his cause, we may apparently walk ahead of him, but only to serve him, not to transcend him, not to excel him. That's the idea. Because even if one thinks that one can go ahead of Sri Guru, but he does not know that the entrance will be locked because he left. And the spiritual master will give the key to one who is fully confidential, correct? So that's where the freedom, free from any ulterior motive, or freedom from all duplicity, that the spiritual master can perceive. So when he sees and perceives unconditional self-surrender by the disciple, then he's ready to share everything which he has got. No? He will not hold back anything. That's the point. And that's why our utmost devotional and respectful attitude should be reflected in our speech, in our actions, and in our thoughts also, like that. So through practice, we become used to it. So if you become used to it, then we start feeling like that also. Correct? One who is endowed with unlimited glory, to call him 108 Sri Sri, is that enough? But just to make him stand out compared to others, at least. That's why he's special. That's why we call him the most blessed. Huh? If he's perceived as the most blessed, then we can offer him the most. And most means Atma Samarpan. Correct? Only one who is perceived by us as the most blessed, we can offer him the most. And most means all. Only all will be the most, correct? Can there be anything more than Atma Samarpan? So if somebody is perceived most blessed, only he can be offered the most Atma Samarpan. Unconditional self-surrender means Atma Samarpan. It includes everything. And one actually hankers to offer oneself fully to one only if he is perceived as the most blessed. Without having developed that perception, it may not be possible to do Atma Samarpan, which is the ultimate stage of bhakti. Atma Samarpan. In Navda Bhakti also, Atma Samarpan, Atma Nivedan is the ultimate stage. It includes everything. If one has offered oneself, one has offered everything. Even if one offers everything which he thinks belongs to him, like Bali Maharaj offered, everything which belonged to him, Krishna took in 2 steps, up and down. The third step, Bali Maharaj offered himself. So Atma Nivedan, he becomes the Adarsh of Atma Nivedan Bhakti. So, then in Atma Nivedan, one becomes his. And that is the perfect identity. Just as we understand that Jivere Swarupa Krishna Nitya Das. But Krishna remains distant, correct? And we also remain distant. So in theory we appreciate, yes, I am eternal servant of Krishna. But we don't have any realization of what is being, what it would be like to be really in personal association as a servant of Krishna. We have no realization, correct? To cause that realization, Krishna comes in the life of a surrendered soul, as Sri Guru. And because he is direct manifest, is a customized manifestation of Krishna, then he's perceived as more, because Sri Guru Charne Rati means can be only one. Rati or love can be only to one. Na? And so if we are targeting love of God, then what is the concept, or what is the nature of love of Sri Guru? Are there two? Because you cannot love simultaneously more than one. And so that's why Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur says the status or the position of the spiritual master in this Raganuga Bhakti, as per Manjari Bhava Upasana. Spiritual master position is that of Srimati Radharani, because Radharani's love is what's hankered. And Sri Guru is perceived as non-different from her. So that kind of perception will take us all the way, because now we will, even while as a sadhaka, our sentiments would be nurtured, you know, and the feeling to be with Srimati Radharani, our Swamini, that won't remain a mystery or foreign thing. As long as something remains foreign, we feel the distance, correct? But when something is perceived of that nature, then we develop more and more fervor. We find our heart fulfilled in our dedication, unconditional surrender at the lotus feet of the spiritual master. So that potential for the disciple is there, and that's why we discuss this. Hare Krishna.
Koti Koti Pranam Shri Guru.
Nitai,
We hear that the divine couple is unlimited, God is unlimited, Krishna is unlimited, but a glimpse of it, we experience it in your magnanimity, Shri Guru. What it means, this unlimitedness. Koti Koti Pranam Shri Guru.
yeah. Just as scripture describe, God is greater than the greatest, bigger than the biggest, and smaller than the smallest. If he covers both extreme, then he can be the most beautiful middle size also to be perceived. We cannot perceive someone who is greater than the greatest or bigger than the biggest or smaller than the smallest. Both are inconceivable for us. Correct? So when the form in which God is perceived, he's more he alone can be lovable, no? So Krishna in our stage is unavailable. He's keeping himself unavailable in his Swayam Rupa. He's preparing us for him eventually during this sadhana stage in this present body. And as he personally come in our life in the form of Sri Guru. So that kind of appraisal, that kind of appreciation of the place of Sri Guru in a disciple's life will take him all the way, because he cannot see him separated or anything different from the divine couple, like that. So this will be further expanded as the prayer continues. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari 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 Bol.
Koti Koti Pranam Shri Guru.
So any last comment if somebody wants to make? Otherwise we can wind up.
Dandot Pranam Gurudev.
Hare Krishna, welcome.
Hare Krishna, Dandot Pranam. Then Gurudev, by sitting at your level, we are lowering our love to you, sir. If I sit equal to you and I don't, then I'm lowering the love for you.
No, if you are sitting,
Amit,
if you are sitting by order, then you are not.
তোমার সে আমি আর কারু নাই, তোমা বিনা নাই যে নিবেদিয়ে তাই, ইহা জানি গুরু গোবিন্দ তুমি মোর কৃপা করি, নিজ পাদ পদম পাশে করো অনুচরি. This should always be in my heart, in my mind, in my breathe.
It is hard.
Then only I can do love to you.
So it is all in the consciousness, and naturally our when there is so much love, then we also can figure out what will please him, you know. So for a surrendered soul, nothing is a mystery. Everything directly or indirectly becomes known to him. All right? Nitai Gaur
कोटि
Premanand,
कोटि प्रणाम, दंडवत प्रणाम गुरुदेव.
Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari 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 Bol.
Hare Krishna, Shri Guru.
Hare Krishna, welcome.
Please accept my humble obeisances. I really just wanted to express how grateful I feel, because in the last couple of weeks, I've been experiencing something that feels very surreal, and I can only really describe it through imagery that's been appearing internally. It feels like for all my life, I've been wanting to cross over something like some water, and the imagery is that my hands have been holding so tight to one shore, but I've been wanting to reach the other shore. And what I've been experiencing in the last week or two, just through your mercy and through your association and just the incredible explanations and everything that you're sharing from your lotus mouth, is that it's like my fingers have been loosening from this one shore, and also like a fog in my mind has been like just beginning to clear, and things that have been feeling so out of reach and confusing, and I haven't even understood why or how I could understand. It feels so mystical, and yeah, I know I can feel in my heart everything that you share. It's like it trickles down in my heart, and I can feel the transformation just so gently, and it's so relishable, and it feels effortless. So it's something I've never experienced before. It feels very alien, and I don't understand it, but it feels just so magical. And I feel forever indebted to you, and so grateful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it is the bond we have been searching, we have been hankering since eternity. And when that becomes exposed to us, and when our heart feels the openness for it, it's a tremendous experience, because that's where we feel safe. We have been hankering for the eternal safe shelter in the eternal bond, divine bond. And the divine bond with God, what it is like, it is perceived, it is experienced through the man of God. So to have that perception revealed in the heart, that we are meeting a man of God, what it would be like to be in the presence of God, or the most lovable God, most lovable Srimati Radharani, is her maid servant. That is our Swarup. So something which this far has been a foreign thing for us. Actually, this is the foreign atmosphere we are living in. That is our real place. So when we feel that bond or connection to the real realm where we belong, and all the anxiety of this present existence, they just evaporate, and we become more and more fixed or attached to the bond which we feel with the divine person. So that is natural. And our this sharing this culture of this studying Prema Bhakti Chandrika, it is not for information's sake. It is just to establish the true glory of, or how we can experience the most glorious fortune which is exposed to us, rather than becoming very learned or convergent and knowing the detail and getting certified that we are this and that. Rather, it's just letting that bond manifest in our heart so much that we feel out of this world even while living in this world. So what you are going through, the experience, is not out of place, but it is the actual fortune of a soul. How many can become that fortune in that regard? But it's very subjective, as I have said many times. Anybody who feels like that, that makes one that fortunate. But the potentially it is possible for everyone. But ultimately, whosoever feels or becomes that fortunate, naturally, that makes one stand out, you know. So, if you feel that awakened or enlightened, it's a happy news for all of us. So stay enlightened every moment, all the way. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I really,
Hare
really,
Krishna.
honestly, genuinely, with all my heart, feel that it's only because of your mercy that anything like this is possible. I've never experienced anything like it before, and I've been searching, you know, to meet people, and I've traveled to different places, even in the world, to meet people. So it's a really, really beautiful opportunity, and I feel so grateful that the Lord has put me here and brought me with all of these beautiful souls and the association, because I know that in the past I related to God in a way perhaps like father, and I had this sense of duty, and I just feel like you make it so attractive, and for that reason it feels effortless. I'm not doing anything, you know, I don't understand what's happening. It's purely through your mercy. So thank you so much.
That's why, as you are saying this saying that it is not what but who you know that matters, nah? So if you are, if you develop that affinity, that bond with the person who is so fortunate, if you think, then that bond makes you also that fortunate also, correct? So what you know becomes secondary, but who you know becomes the primary thing. So keep moving in the right direction. Sri Swamini Matirastu. Nitai Gaur Prema. Sri Swamini Matirastu. All right. Kirtaniya Sadari.
Hare Krishna, Pranam Shri Guru. Premanjana would like to say something.
Sure.
Hare Krishna, Pranam Shri Guru.
Hare Krishna.
I want to say something and ask something. Can I?
Sure, sure.
Mahamana Shri Guru. Udara Chitta Shri Guru. Mahashay Shri Guru. Mahashay Prema Bhakti Rasaikalampata. Those who exclusively desire to relish the sweet Vrajarasa, the highest class of transcendental Bhagavad Rasa, must necessarily take shelter of your lotus feet, Sri Guru Rupa Swamini, who is immersed in blissful pastimes and who has distributed this most confidential Rasika subject to all of us. What belongs to you cannot be given by anyone else other than you. You spread Premaras through Premaras itself, and with that same Premaras, you fill every heart with Premarasa. What you are giving, the Sudha Kanika explanation of Sri Prema Bhakti Chandrika, like an unfathomable ocean, I can only beg for a Sudha Kanika of that as well from you. For you are the one who possesses the true wealth of love. When someone begins to inquire about their own existence, their human life truly begins. And devotee life begins when they come into the association of a pure devotee. And yes, my real sadhana began when I came into your association at your lotus feet. Ganga, Yamuna, or stone images of God, Vigrah, cannot purify mankind as much as Sri Guru you can. For the former, purify only after a long delay or in the next life even. Whereas the mere sight of you, Sri Guru, sanctifies at once. I had heard much praise of the poetry of Srila Rupa Goswami, but I truly came to know it through you. It has come to me directly by your grace. You are my Sri Rupa Goswami. हृदये कंदरे जार झरिया छेक बार श्री गुरु रे कवितार रसिर निर्झर अमृतेर पारावार तारे काछे कुन चार सुधांशुर सुधासार सुमधुर कोर सुधीर वसंत वायु मकरंदहार मानस सरसे जार फुटिया छेक बार श्री गुरु रे कवितार भाव शत दला तुच्छ कोरे से जन प्रफुल्ल नंदनवन विकशित मंदाकिनी कनक कमल शरतेर परिपूर्ण शशांक मंडल कर्णको हरे जार बर बरजिया छेक बार श्री गुरु रे कवितार सुमधुर तार सेनाही सुनिबे यार मंजू कुंजे कोकिलार रसाल मुकुल मोरे अलीर झंकार किन्नरीर कलकंठ सुधार आधार हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. I would like to ask one question. Shri Krishna, while smelling a lotus, said, "Within the three worlds, the fragrance of the lotus is incomparable. Yet, let us try to compare it with the fragrance of Srimati Radhika's lotus-like face." Saying this, Shri Krishna kissed Shri Radha's face and said, "O beloved, before the fragrance of your lotus face, the scent of this lotus is utterly insignificant." Having said so, he cast the lotus aside. Then Shri Krishna continued, "O dear one, the beauty of your face when you are in loving, sulky mood blossoms in such a way that even millions of ornaments cannot produce such charm. I only pray to the Creator that He may always keep you in this state of loving sulk." My question here is, Krishna is saying, I pray to the Creator that Swamini may remain in this state of loving Salki mode. But he is the one who becomes most anxious when Swamini is in Salki mode. And then is continue. Hearing this, Srimati Radhika's gentle smile, Hasya Manjari, blossomed, and her sulky mood melted away. Uh, I came across this word Hasya Manjari. I understood it is simply a sweet smile of Swamini, but I think it can be, it have more deeper meaning, and only you can enlighten us with that. Hare Krishna.
So the fortune which Krishna Krishna feels actually fortunate because of the love of Srimati Radharani, you know, and as an expression of exclusive superlative love of Srimati Radharani, you know, Radharani, the sulky mood is a demonstration, you know, because it enthuses, it just induces Krishna, you know, it increases the vigor of Krishna. It increases the attraction towards Radharani, you know. It just causes Krishna to expand his, you know, expand his prowess. You know, Krishna is all powerful, correct? Krishna is most capable. So because Radharani sulky mood challenges Krishna, because in the whole world, in the whole universe, who can challenge Krishna? Krishna is, nobody can conquer Krishna, but because Radharani's love and expressed through her sulky mood makes Krishna conquered by her love. So Krishna experiences the joy of becoming conquered. Everybody, if somebody only conquers others all the time, you know, so what's the fun? So Krishna experiences the fun of becoming conquered by Srimati Radharani's special demeanor through her sulky mood. So Krishna is praying that if Radharani, so this sulky mood, it goes and comes, goes and comes. So it gives opportunity to Krishna, you know. How capable is Krishna and how, so it causes increase in Udmadna. In Udmadna means his passion is increased. Now he has to do something to appease Radharani or to make her favorable to him. And that process is very, 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 very pleasing to Krishna. It's like something to be accomplished. For God, everything is accomplished already. Correct? Everything is at his disposal. Now, if Krishna has to make some endeavor to please Radharani, because sulky mood means she is showing negative or showing her unfavorability towards Krishna. So it gives Krishna the opportunity to do something to appease Radharani or to remove her sulky mood. And that process is very, very invigorating and pleasing to Krishna. You know, it's like a challenge. Once we were traveling in America, and you know, there's a particular season in summertime where people go for hunting. It's not a very good example, but we asked the person, what you do? Oh, we have come for hunting. So what is the best part in hunting? Is it when you get your prey, you shoot and capture they say no, it's the hunting after chasing after the animal, chasing after, because the animal will skip, means he will just elude, but we will just follow him, and eventually we will capture him. So every time Radharani manifests a sulky mood, it challenges Krishna to, to make her favorable somehow or other. So because it engages, it makes even God imagine, what should I do to remove Radharani's sulky mood. So if Radharani does not manifest her sulky mood again and again, then Krishna will feel no challenge, So sometime a very powerful or all capable person, as capable as God or God himself, he likes to be challenged. So Radharani's sulky mood becomes this challenge for Krishna to increase his vigor to please her again and again and again. Radharani again and again, every opportunity she takes to express her sulky or man mood, only to please Krishna more. So that's the point. So everything is targeted. Radharani's sulky mood, sometime with reason or without reason, manifests as a part of her unique exclusive service of Krishna, because Krishna loves the sulky mood of Srimati Radharani, because now he has got some mission to be accomplished. So to keep Krishna engaged, if the mission is accomplished, if nothing else is there to accomplish, then Krishna will feel very boring, correct? So to keep Krishna always have some mission to be accomplished, so this is what God is praying to Vidhata, or the Creator, let Radharani's sulky mood continue for eternity, so that Krishna feels engaged for eternity in pleasing Radharani again and again and again. All right?
Fascinating, Shri Guru. Your replies, when I heard all your replies, I only realize what is yours, only you can give it to us, no one else. Thank you so much for everything. Hare Krishna. Pranam.
Shri Swamini Matiyastu. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari 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 Gaur.
Hare Krishna, Pranam Shri Guru.
Hare Krishna.
Glories are unlimited, Shri Guru. As much as we glorify you, we want to glorify you more. We will all unmute and chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra minimum 3 times for honor and love for our dear Shri Guru.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Rama Rama, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Hare, Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Rama Rama,
Hare
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 Krishna,
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Hare Rama,
Hare Rama, Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Hare
Rama, Hare
Rama,
Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
From our hearts, we will call out His Divine Grace, Sri Kripa Murti, Bhakti Swarup Govind Maharaj ki
Jai,
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 Jai.
Jai.
Nitai
Jai Guru.
Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Hari
Hari Hari
Hare
Bol.
Hare
Pranam Shri
Bol.
Guru. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Pranam Shri
Pranam
Guru,
Shri
Hare
Guru, Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
We'll meet you again in just half an hour. Season. All right?
Hare Krishna Shri Guru Pranam.
Anande Hari 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 Hari.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hare 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 Hare.
प्रणाम श्री गुरु, हरे कृष्णा।
Hare Krishna, Gaur Premanande, Hare Hare.
हरे कृष्णा, दंडवत प्रणाम गुरुदेव।
Krishna Shri Swamini Mati Astu, everyone. Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari 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 Gaur. Hari 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 Gaur.